Hello, my name is Vendulka Pate and I run a small shop called Oliven from the heart of the Suffolk together with my husband. I've been teaching for 10 years now, and in those 10 years I found that part of the teaching is actually teaching a specific particular technique, but the other part of the teaching is actually trying to change people's mindset, trying to encourage them, give them the confidence and overall support them. And I've been meaning to sort of start recording videos about this kind of encouragement, this kind of, growing the confidence in people for quite a few years. And so winning this year, 2021, in the Festival of Quilts, the Best in a Show, kind of gave me the incentive to, yes, now it's the time to start talking about these things. And the first thing I would like to actually talk about today is our winning quilt. So the quilt which we won Best in a Show with my husband, it has evolved. And sometimes you see these wonderful pieces and you kind of wonder, where did it all start? Where did the inspiration came from? And I've got quite a sort of clear image of how it sort of came about, and that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. So it all started back when we lived on the Isle of Wight, and I used to go to Vectis Quilters, and we had Sheena Norkie coming to us to give a talk. I loved the talk. I loved her work. One of her work was actually on the front of a flyer for the Quilters Guild for a few years, and I have taken a couple of photographs from the talk so that I could show to my husband what she was talking about, and with this sort of enthusiasm of mine, I sort of came and told him all about it. Then we sort of look on internet at some of her work, and this piece, which you can see here, really captured Olivier. And he, even though he wasn't on the talk, he actually was really inspired by that piece, and he started to work on his own piece. And now this is where kind of people will think about it in two different ways. Both of them are right, and I'm not here to argue any of them, but some people might think that we have copied her design, or we have sort of copied her work, and partly it can you might be right. I'm not here to argue that, but the way I look at it is the other way, and that is that we were inspired. If somebody takes any of my work and try to replicate it at home, to be perfectly honest, it never offends me. I'm actually really chuffed that that they loved my work so much that they want to replicate it at home. And you know what? Even if you tried, it's never going to be the same, because you're going to choose different fabrics. You might tweak it a little bit. It is just we are here to inspire. So like I said, I'm never offended if people take any of my work and inspire themselves with. I feel actually very honored that they did that. So you can take it both ways. You can be upset that somebody's copying your work, or you can just be really flattered by that. And whichever way you take it, it's entirely up to you. So what we have done, we got inspired by her work. And in the first piece which Olivier has made, yes, you can very clearly see the inspiration piece. What Olivier started to work with was a silk gutta to kind of create all these sort of designs onto the fabric. So what he's done is he drew the design onto the fabric and then handed it over to me so that I could quilt it for him. And he has chosen the thread, told me, okay, I would like this thread here and this thread here, and I did it all for him, and then I handed it over back to him, and he started to paint it. So like I said, at the beginning he was using silk gutta, which is one of the things which you use when you are painting onto silk, and you want the barrier to stop the dye kind of moving onto the silk. So you use the silk gutta. The thing is that they work just as well on ordinary fabric. They just have got nice colors. They come in usually gold, black, silver, copper, and white. And he was trying to also use a bit of Markal paint sticks, but you can't really achieve the fine details with them because it is just a sort of a stick of oil paint. But nevertheless, he sort of went on and created more pieces in sort of different colorway, always kind of thinking, you know, that we're gonna use the gold or the silver or the copper to sort of go on the top of it. And this piece, for example, the circles which are on the top of it, they sort of came out because at the time we had Dawn Cameron Dick coming to teach her lecture on threads and her lecture on invisible machine applique. I had to put it into practice, so this piece has got the circles have been sort of appliqued with her method. Then Olivier came with me to talk of Faye Maxwell, who does lots of sort of cutting and slashing and things like that. So that's when this sort of slashing started to make a way into his work. He also experimented on this beautiful piece, which is sort of, you know, I love the colors of it. He started to then experiment, obviously. No gold or silver would really make it, so he was then playing with just acrylic paints, but then you have to apply them with a brush, so which, you know, it's not the same as working with a nice fine nozzle, but he sort of made one just to sort of see how it works, realize that yes, he can work with the brush, but it's not something what really he enjoys doing. So so then again, a little bit more slashing and cutting into his work. I really love this piece called Hidden Waters. It is one of my most favorite color combination, the sort of brown, turquoise and gold to lift it up. It's really lovely. So so you know, and all that has been kind of playing and experimenting and really just having fun. You know, we kind of create with the thinking of, I wonder how would this work? I wonder what would this do? And you just try it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes it still make visually nice piece, but you might think, I don't know, well, I would definitely do such and such different. You know, so with every single piece you learn. But like I said, the colors, they just weren't enough for us anymore. So we started to then explore and look for different paints, and that's when we find the Marabou liners, and they come in 18 glitter colors, 18 metallic colors, and about 9 shimmering, and that was just like revelation. It was like, wow, this is great. So then I started to play a little bit by creating just a little samples, you know, just to see, you know, what can I do, and that's when this sort of a series of these little samples kind of started to evolve. Because we run this as a business, we don't just do this as a hobby. Then we thought, all right, so how can we teach this to people? How can we show them how it works and obviously sell them the paint? So this little samples then evolved into classes. So these are sort of things which my students have made over the years, you know, painting with these, either as a sort of a group visits to the shop or me teaching on the shows. And so it's been working really well. And as I was sort of demonstrating on the shows and showing people how it all works, Olivier was saying, well, we kind of need something to like, you know, some big piece to show them how big they can make it, because so at that moment I was just doing a small little samples. So we thought, okay, so what are we gonna do? We're gonna do a sort of bigger piece. So that's where this sort of sparkling mandala came to life, and we just had fun. We threw as many colors as we possibly could on it. and really sort of explore, okay, what can we do, how can we do, and really take it for a walk. It went eventually one day to the Festival of Quilts, but when it was behind me on the shows, it was this kind of showstopper. You know, people were like, wow, how is that done? Then they looked down and saw me demonstrating. Oh, is this how you do it? And it literally did what we intended to do, captured people's attention. And then the moment Olivier finished that, he was already starting on another one, because he thought, oh, you know, these colors and these colors, I wonder how it would work on this background. So that's when sort of, you know, the darker one started. That's when the sort of, you know, very sort of colorful background has started. And he was kind of, in a way, unstoppable. So the one which is sort of most memorable from that time is this one called Alissa. And so he has taken a fabric which was hand dyed by a lady who trades under the name Alter Ego, and kind of created the mandala in the colors of the background, and it's absolutely stunning. It went to Sundown Quilt Show, won third place in its category, which was large wall hanging, got a rosette for art quilt and use of color. So and again, you know, it was a wow effect. So we've been really pleased with that one. And around that time, I was actually traveling with Grosvenor shows through the country with my exhibition of cathedral windows, and as it was kind of coming to the end, I just thought, really like this. I wonder what else could we create so that I could travel like this with another exhibition. And we had probably at that time maybe 4 or 5 of these mandalas. So I offered them the exhibition of these for the following year. And they said, yes, great, we can sort of have them. And the first one was supposed to be, I think, in May. And we started to work. I said to Olivier, well, we need to create a body of work. We need to create around sort of 12 of them, and we just started to play and spend all of our time making one after another. And obviously they were sort of progressingly, they were kind of they were getting bigger. Some of them they were getting smaller but very intricate. So we just took it for a run, to be honest, because we had a deadline and we had to arrive in time. And so what we then what Olivier then sort of came up with was this sort of the large one. He said, I want to make one as a kind of double bed quilt. And so I said, of course, darling, what else? I wouldn't expect anything less from you. And so we found a lovely fabric on one of the shows, a lovely batik, and he set off designing it. So now how it actually is done. So the mandalas, they are usually, in most cases, they are actually designed onto the backing fabric. Because I don't want to, first of all, some of them have got very dark thread, very dark fabric. And it would be, it's quite difficult to follow a white line on a dark fabric. But some of them has been done like this, because this one has got, you know, quite a dark backing. So it has been done with the chalk on this one. But as we kind of progress, we kind of realize that the easiest way is to draw it onto the backing and then quilt it from the back. Because this way you do not need to worry about how it's gonna sort of show, or is the line gonna properly disappear, or is it gonna leave little kind of ghost line behind, or is it gonna come back in a little while. None of this worry is there, because all the lines are on the back. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that when you are quilting it, you are quilting it from the back. So what happens is that you need to have your stitching kind of needs to look really nice, kind of nicer from the back than it does from the front. What I tend to do, I tend to just a tiny bit tighten the tension on the top, because that brings the bobbin thread properly up and really creates this nice bumps, these sort of nice defined stitches. So that's the only thing I tend to do. But obviously you need to give it a little try first and see how it works, because your front, your sort of what you want to see is at the back, and while you are stitching you can't see it, so you need to keep checking it every now and then to see if it's all right. So once it was quilted, so we started with the mandala, and then we had this sort of space, because Olivier, we kind of both like these curved edges, which are framed with a bit of piping. So you've got your sort of middle piece, then you've got your teensy weensy piping cord, and then you've got a border. So that's what we created on this one. It's not the first piece, it just creates a really nice interest, especially if you find a nice contrasting fabric to sort of use as the piping. Now in the piping, inside of it, the cord is actually a string to wrap parcels, which is usually like pack of 10 of them for £1 from a Poundland or something like that. I don't mind to spend money on some tools. There are definitely tools where it's totally worth it to spend that extra penny. But there are at the same time ways how you can do things very, very cheaply. And so if I don't have to pay a lot of money for a proper, you know, I don't know, probably #1 piping cord or something like that, and just use the parcel string. It's cotton string, you know, I'm putting it in a cotton fabric, so it works for me. Sort of that gap between the mandala and this sort of very unusual shaped border. Then Olivier wanted to sort of fill it up with feathers. And it was really funny, because he drew maybe 4 of them for me, and because I've been sort of quilting these little samples, he said, oh, that's fine, you can just freeform the rest of them. And I did those sort of 4, and then I said, I don't think so, I think you're gonna have to draw them. So he took his time, he was googling feathers and as a sort of real bird feathers to take the inspiration from, and because he wanted to have every single one of them totally different, and he achieved that. And I think that that's what makes it really unique, the fact that as you go around, every feather is like, oh, I really like this, oh, I don't know, I really like that. And I'm thinking how to make a little competition to find which feather is the most popular out of them. I'll find out how to do a poll about it one day. And so all these feathers were created around, and he took the time to really paint every single one of them individually. I helped him every now and then when I had time between sort of teaching and serving customers, but I'm very glad that he was able to be with me at the award ceremony, because it is, in my way, in sort of my eyes, it is more his work than it is actually mine. I think that he did way more work on it than I did, and so he deserves the praise and the accolades more than I do. And so this is how it sort of all came about. And the name, Our Ladies, well, like I said, we made these mandalas to travel in the show. And obviously pieces in the show have to have name, have to have description, and obviously for a description, well, it's quilted and it's painted. What else do you want to say about the description? So what I came up with is that I dedicated every single one of the sort of, I think 12 of them, to a different person who somehow influenced or inspired me or us on our journey. So the most colorful one has been dedicated to Alissa Burke, which is American artist, and she is I've been following her blog for probably 8-9 years now. And what I love is she's more of a painter than a sort of sewer or a textile person. She's more like a mixed media. But I just love the way she sort of took her passion, which was the painting, and brought it to life of people. You know, she inspires with her art people, but she also teaches them how to make it themselves. And that's what I really love, and that's what I'm trying to do as well. And another one, which is sort of very, very similar story, is this one, which is called Linda and Laura, which is Linda and Laura Kemschel, as the mum and daughter duo. And again, I've been following their work for many years. I might not be inspired by the themes in their work. They are amazing painters. I'm definitely not a painter, but again, it's the fact that they started with City and Guilds, and then through sort of online learning, online videos, they were able to sort of inspire and teach people all around the world, and that's what, you know, I found very, very inspirational for me. Another one is called Joe DeRosa, or Joe, by my yoga and meditation teacher, because kind of sitting on the cushion every day and you know, centering and aligning myself every week on my yoga lessons is definitely something what helped me to listen to my heart and work more from my heart and less from my head. So she is very much part of my journey. I'd like to also mention my friend Sue Douglas from the Isle of Wight, who has taught me embroidery. She is more of an embroiderer, and I have and at the beginning I was a quilter, I was a sewer, but I really love combining sort of machine and hand embroidery, and she very much, you know, taught me a lot at the beginning about sort of hand stitching, and influenced me, sort of brought a bit more of the sort of hand work into my life. So one of them, the one which was dedicated to her, is actually painted, and it has got lots of embroidery on it as well, because I just had to, you know, sort of use it as well, combine it. Now another one has been dedicated to Lynn Edwards, who is my big inspiration. The reason why it's this one with these sort of two very similar circle or nearly identical sort of mandalas is that I found, since we sort of came to Suffolk, and she just lives in the same village where my children go to school, and I sort of have been more and more in touch and got to know the people who she has been teaching for the last 20 years. I got to know that we do have got actually a lot in common. Well, one of it is that we both published a book on cathedral windows. She actually has written the foreword for my book, and even though I'm teaching it totally different sort of way to do it, but we both, you know, have sort of love of that. And also I found that we've got very similar way of teaching. We are both very generous with our knowledge, with our expertise, and another thing is that if I'm blessed to sort of live as long as she is here, I really hope that I will also be able to still inspire people and teach them and you know, somehow influence them. So I'm kind of aiming to sort of be like her. She is a great teacher, great person, so great inspiration. And the biggest one, so to get to why we named the largest one Our Ladies, is that our children, when they were a little bit smaller, and we picked them up from school, and they had to spend another sort of hour and a half with us in the shop. And on the way from school, in the car, they would always ask, "Mummy, are there any ladies in the shop?" Which means, am I teaching that day? And so we've always called our students, our customers, our ladies. And therefore, that quilt is dedicated to all of you, all of them. Because without the students, without the customers, I wouldn't be here. excuse me, I wouldn't be here. I have learned so much from all of you. You have all inspired me, pushed me to do better, to learn different things and everything. So so the mandala is dedicated to all of these ladies, because every single feather on it is different, unique and individual, just like all of you are unique and individual. So this is the story of our award-winning Best in a Show 2021 at the Festival of Quilts. And I really hope that you enjoyed listening to this story, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time in my next video.